Right now on Morning News Now, a troubling twist in that tragic mass shooting that killed 2 students and 2 teachers at an Atlanta area high school. This morning, the father of the 14-year-old suspect also facing murder charges. Sources tell NBC News he gave his son an AR-15 style rifle after the 2 were questioned in connection with school shooting threats.
How could you have an assault rifle, a weapon in a house, not locked up, and knowing your kid knows where it is? Got to hold parents accountable if they let their child have access to these guns.
We'll have the latest in the investigation, plus how a newly installed security system may have saved lives. Also, a surprise guilty plea in Hunter Biden's federal tax case. More on the 11th hour reversal that spares the president's son from a trial. Plus, former President Donald Trump back in court as he appeals the verdict in the E. Jean Carroll case. And on the campaign trail, Mr. Trump unveiling his economic plan, while VP Harris prepares to defend her proposals in next week's debate. And up in smoke, new numbers show teen vaping is at its lowest level in a decade. We will explore why. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Great to be with you today. Joe is on assignment, and some good news. It's Friday. You made it to the end of the week. We're going to begin this morning in Georgia, where a father and son have been charged in connection with Wednesday's shooting at Appalachia High School that killed 4 people. The alleged shooter, 14-year-old Colt Gray, is facing 4 counts of felony murder. And his father, Colin Gray, is charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Investigators say those charges stem from the father knowingly allowing his son to possess a weapon. Today, the city of Airline plans to hold a memorial service for victims. NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar is on the ground there with the latest.
Good morning. That's right. 14-year-old Colt Gray is expected to appear in court this morning. He is being tried as an adult and is facing 4 felony counts for murder for each of those victims. And in a surprise twist overnight, his father, 54-year-old Colin Gray, is now getting arrested and facing charges of his own. 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Now, in a press conference late last night, the director of Georgia's Bureau of Investigation saying these charges stem from Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son Colt to possess a weapon. Now, 2 senior law enforcement officials telling NBC News that Colt Gray's father actually gifted him an AR-style weapon after they were interviewed by law enforcement authorities after they received several anonymous tips on an online gaming platform that Colt Gray could have been thinking about carrying out some sort of mass shooting. Now, the AR-style weapon is the same type of weapon that authorities say were used in this Appalachia High School shooting. So lots of questions still remain as investigators still continue to work all of their leads. Back to you, Savannah.
All right, Priya, thank you so much. Well, officials in Georgia are saying a new technological tool at Appalachia High School potentially saved countless lives in Wednesday's shooting. It's a button on the back of every teacher's ID badge that, when pressed, immediately alerts the police. NBC News law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter shows us how it works.
Just a week before the shooting at Appalachia High School, the county put in a new system to alert law enforcement during emergencies. So when teachers heard shots, several immediately pressed what amounts to a panic button.
The teachers each have an ID with their picture on it, and they have a button on that ID, and they press it so many times, and it alerts us where that incident is occurring, so it sends us a GPS coordinate.
The system is called Centegix. It's one of several new real-time reporting systems. Gina Rafero developed an app-based system called SaferWatch.
I pop this app open and I hit this button right here and say it's an active shooter. And you say hold this down for 3 seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's instantly notifying law enforcement, and they're able to see who reported the emergency, exactly where it's happening. Let me give you a real-life example. There's an armed individual jump over a school fence. Principal took out SaferWatch, pressed the panic button. That instantly notified everyone on campus. Simultaneously, that alert from SaferWatch goes to 911.
Lori Alhadeff's daughter, Alyssa, was killed during the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida. She's now pushing for states to pass laws mandating every classroom have a panic button type device.
It helps to honor my daughter, Alyssa. And every time that panic button is pushed, I know that Alyssa is saving lives.
7 states have passed the law, which is named after her daughter. Tom Winter, NBC News.
Start streaming a video.
Let's turn now to Los Angeles, where there's been a surprising development in the federal tax case against President Biden's son. In a shocking reversal, just as jury selection was set to begin, Hunter Biden announced in court Thursday that he would plead guilty to the federal tax charges against him. Hunter was facing 9 criminal counts over allegations that he engaged in a 4-year scheme to get out of paying at least $1.4 million in taxes. In a statement following his decision to change his plea, Hunter said, quote, "I will not subject my family to more pain. For all I have put them through over the years, I can spare them this, and so I have decided to plead guilty." He is now set to be sentenced on December 16th. We've got NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joining us with the latest. We also have NBC News Now legal analyst Danny Savalos on set to help break this down. Good morning to both of you. Ryan, I will start with you. Yesterday, we were waiting for jury selection to get underway. Now we're here. Walk us through what we know about how we got to this point and how this decision was made.
Yes, Savannah, I think the best way to describe this is that it was a bit of a shock, but not a surprise. There were many of us that have been covering this Hunter Biden saga from the very beginning who were skeptical that he was going to subject his family and go through the entire process of another lengthy trial where more salacious details about his past and his history with drug abuse would be put out into the public sphere. And so, you know, we knew that there were talks between his legal team and prosecutors to try and come to a place where they would end up with a plea deal. They did at one point attempt to try and convince the prosecutors to agree to an Alford plea, which is a unique legal trick which would prevent Hunter Biden from specifically pleading guilty but concede that the prosecution had the evidence necessary to convict him. The prosecutors weren't interested in that. They wanted a guilty plea and only a guilty plea, and so that's what they settled on. The statement from Abby Lowell reads that Hunter decided to enter this plea to protect those he loves from unnecessary hurt and other cruel humiliation. This plea prevents a show trial that would have provided all the facts, or that would have provided all the facts and served any level of justice. So, you know, the Hunter Biden prosecution or defense team had thought from the very beginning of this process, Savannah, that this was not normally something that would go to trial, that, yes, they admit that he didn't pay his taxes. He paid them back eventually, and that should have settled this case. Of course, they were very close to having a plea deal more than a year ago, but that plea deal fell apart. Now we have to wait and see exactly how much jail time Hunter Biden is facing, of course, not just on this particular charge, but also the gun charge that he was convicted of earlier in the summer. Savannah.
And as I mentioned, we're set to find that out in December. Danny, let's bring you into the conversation here. So this was, as Ryan put it, which I liked, somewhat of a shock that this is how this ultimately went down. He also mentioned something called an Alford plea, which maybe some of our viewers at home have not heard of before. So you kind of hear all these details. We were a little bit surprised that he ended up pleading guilty. There's this type of plea where you're saying, I'm not guilty, but I'll say I did it. Explain where this lands him legally and the difference between that and an open plea.
Yeah, the reason that a lot of folks are today wondering what's an Alford plea is because they are exceedingly rare. I've never done one for any of my clients. They happen in around 2 to 3% of all criminal cases nationwide, federal and state. And here's how controversial they are. Some states do not even allow them. An Alford plea, at least in the federal system, is technically, under the rules, a guilty plea. But the defendant is allowed to maintain his innocence. Now, where that matters, symbolically, spiritually, psychologically, who knows? That's why they're so rare, because the judge has to sign off on it, the prosecutor has to sign off on it, and you have to be somewhere in a jurisdiction that even allows them to begin with. And as you can imagine, prosecutors aren't too hot to approve an Alford plea because they want a straight-up guilty plea. They don't want someone saying that I'm also innocent when I plead guilty. And it also kind of runs against our idea of criminal justice. The whole idea of a guilty plea is someone acknowledging and taking responsibility for their crimes. It seems a little bit of a paradox if they're acknowledging their responsibility and at the same time saying, hey, but I didn't do it. And that's why this blew up. And when I heard for the first time yesterday that an Alford plea was floated, I knew the day was going to end in a guilty plea because I suspected prosecutors would reject it. I suspected the judge might reject it. And then when you're at the eve of trial, you're ready to go to trial, and your client is ready to put in an Alford plea, Well, you're only about 1 or 2 degrees away from a straight-up guilty plea. It seems to me that Hunter probably, my guess, went to his attorneys and said, is there any way I can do an Alford plea so I can at least maintain my innocence? For attorneys like me, the Alford doesn't really matter that much. A guilty plea is a guilty plea. And I suspect Mark Aragos, his attorney, knew that the government would probably say no. But, hey, why not? For the client, we'll put in the question. We'll give it a shot. But at the end of the day, this is going the way it's going to go.
I know that was only, like 1 minute that you were able to give me there, and I didn't just go to law school, but kind of get why that's not allowed in some places. It seems
completely not allowed.
Quite confusing. Ryan, let's bring the question of President Biden into this. He did not speak about this, did not take questions from reporters about this, but he has said previously that he would not pardon his son. However, importantly, I think that was said before he exited the 2024 race. Do we think that's still his position?
Yeah, Savannah, you are very smart to point out that he made that pledge before he decided not to run for re-election. The White House press office yesterday reiterated that his position hasn't changed as it's come to his son. He has said multiple times that he would not pardon his son, despite the fact that he might be convicted and facing jail time. But I do think that there is a reality here that didn't exist prior to President Biden not being in this race. He will be a lame duck president in December, around the time that his son is sentenced. He's facing the real possibility of significant jail time. And we know that President Biden loves his son, and he is very concerned about his long-term sobriety and will do anything to protect him. President Biden's political career is going to be all over at the end of December. He would have the opportunity to pardon him with no questions asked and really no political cost, because he'll never find himself on a ballot again. We have to take the president at his word. He said he's not going to pardon his son, but a lot could change between now and the end of his term.
And a lot has changed, as you point out, since he said that. Danny, quickly before I let you go, Ryan mentions the possibility of significant jail time between this and the conviction in the gun case. Any ideas here?
Yes, I can tell you this. The 17-year statutory maximum is not what Hunter's going to get. It is correct to report that because it is the only knowable number after someone is convicted. And you arrive at that number by taking every count and every maximum sentence and lining them up end to end to end. And in this case, you have the felonies. Some are 3-year maximums, some are 5-year maximums. The rest of the misdemeanors are 1 year. You add those up, I believe you get to 17 years. That's what DOJ says. So that's not going to happen. Far more likely, I did a very back-of-the-envelope calculation based on the loss amount, which we don't know for sure yet, but it's around $1.4 million according to the DOJ. But it's a little more nuanced in tax cases because it's not the straight-up loss is a little tougher to calculate. It's, is it what you denied the government? Is it what you kept? It's hard to say. Roughly, I have him at about 33 months, but even that calculation might be an exercise in futility because the sentencing guidelines for about 2 decades now have been rendered advisory only. So the judge will calculate them, but the judge doesn't even have to sentence within the guideline range. The judge can go above or, as is far more likely in white-collar type cases, below the guidelines. So 33 months, I would say, is on the high end. You might see somewhere closer in the, 2 years around there, 24 months, something like that.
All right. Thank you very much to Ryan Nobles and Danny Savalas are going to hang and help us with this next one as well. Well, oral arguments are scheduled to take place today in former President Trump's appeal of his civil case against writer E. Jean Carroll here in New York. She accused Mr. Trump of attacking her in a department store decades ago. Well, last year, a jury found him liable for sexual abuse and defamation and awarded Carroll $5 million. The former president is expected to appear in court today as his legal team attempts to overturn that decision. He has denied the allegations against him. Meanwhile, the Trump legal team has pleaded not guilty on a superseding indictment on the former president's behalf in his federal election interference case. During a hearing in Washington yesterday, the judge acknowledged the case has not moved quickly because of his appeal to the Supreme Court, which ultimately ruled Mr. Trump does have some immunity. Danny, as I mentioned, is still here with us, and let's bring in NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns. Dasha, let's begin with you, and let's start with today in court. What can we expect?
So, Savannah, today is all about the evidence that was introduced at the first E. Jean Carroll trial, especially that Access Hollywood tape that we all remember. Now, the prosecutors weren't allowed to play the tape, but they were allowed to read it aloud in somewhat dramatic fashion. And that is what the defense argues that the jury should not have witnessed among some of the other evidence admitted there. Now, we do expect the former president to show up at today's hearing. And there is an optics element here. There is a defiance element here, Savannah. And there's an element of trying to dispel this picture that the Harris team is trying to paint of prosecutor versus felon sexual abuser. The former president showing up, making himself seen there, as he has, by the way, throughout the E. Jean Carroll case. He's been showing up there even though it's voluntary, but he's made it a point to be present, Savannah.
Danny, a second jury later on, people may remember, awarded Carroll ultimately another $83 million in damages for comments that Mr. Trump had made about her. Does that have any impact here? Walk us through the multiple things that we've seen happen when it comes to E. Jean Carroll and the former president.
Yeah, a couple things here. Dasha talked about some of the bases for appeal. And when it comes to evidentiary rulings, those are really tough to appeal on. In other words, if you're challenging, hey, this judge shouldn't have let in this piece of evidence or shouldn't have kept out this piece of evidence, those are usually pretty tough because a trial judge is given quite a bit of discretion to decide what kind of evidence comes in and comes out. So if that's your lead argument, and that is some of the lead arguments, I've read the brief for the Trump team, that's going to be a long shot. Also, one of the things that is curious to me is in defamation cases, we're seeing a lot of what we call verdict creep. In other words, we're seeing these really huge damages awards. If you took a look at the sustainable damages awards for people who are, say, rendered quadriplegic or wrongful death cases here in New York, which is known for very high verdicts, you're only looking at maybe 10 to 12, maybe $20 million. So recently in high-profile cases, we've seen these astronomical defamation damages awards. So I have to wonder if these are the kinds of things that on appeal you can challenge and you can get a damages award reduced somewhat. But overall, in terms of the legal soundness of the jury's verdict, the damage award itself really won't go too much to the underlying liability. And Trump's attorneys are largely, they've written a very complex brief, but a lot of it has to do with evidence that came in or shouldn't have come in.
Okay, Dasha, let's now switch gears here. I want to talk with both of you about the federal election interference case against the former president. So our viewers may remember last week a grand jury returned a superseding indictment against him. If your eyes are glazing over at that time, he basically was just notified, nope, we still think there's a crime here, even though the Supreme Court had that immunity decision earlier this summer. Special counsel basically went back, edited this indictment so that it focuses on Trump as a candidate and not Trump as the president. What are the takeaways from yesterday's court hearing in Washington?
So the biggest takeaway from yesterday is that this judge, Judge Chutkan, does not care about the election. She said, this is not something I'm going to consider, the electoral schedule. She said, we're not exactly sprinting toward the finish line here because, as you mentioned, they were waiting on all of the implications from that Supreme Court ruling on immunity. And the defense team has made clear that they are planning to challenge this all the way up to the Supreme Court. They also are planning to challenge Smith's appointment here, as they did in the Florida case. And finally, Judge Chutkan did set a timeline for the pretrial briefings, giving Jack Smith's team a deadline of September 26th to file his briefings there. And then the briefings process will go at least through October 29th. October 29th, Savannah, not so long from November 5th, which is Election Day.
Kenny, what are your thoughts on this timeline? I mean, we know in some ways that alone is a win for the former president, that it's been delayed so much. But Dasha just laid it out pretty well there. I mean, obviously no chance of this happening before the election. What do you see happening, though, ultimately?
Any delay in any of the federal cases involving Donald Trump means that if he's elected, they will go away. So delay is a win for the defense in a way that it just isn't for the state criminal cases. And look, you've got to give Judge Chutkan credit. She's doing something as a federal district judge that no other judge in American history has done, which is try to implement a Supreme Court's decision that in 3 different categories, a president may not have immunity, may have immunity, and then is presumptively immune even when he's an ex-president. And no judge has ever tried to apply that in real life. It's one thing for the Supreme Court to issue an opinion with all kinds of thoughts and ideas of how to handle this. But now Judge Chutkan, where the rubber meets the road, has to figure out, how do I do this? I have to hold evidentiary hearings. I have to allow briefings. This has to take time because it's complex and it's never been done before. So she needs to create a record. And to do that, it takes time. You have to have briefing. You have to have evidence. How to do it is really up to her. She's the first one ever doing it. So however she does it, maybe that will be the guidepost for how the rest of the judges do it going forward as we move through American history.
Yeah. We'll see if any of this happens again. Dasha Burns, thank you very much. Danny Savalas, we really should have just had you slide over here while Joe's off. We've had you on the clock for a while. And we'll see you next hour. Thank you both very much. Let's turn now to the race for the White House. We are learning more details about former President Trump's economic plan for a potential second term. As NBC News correspondent Von Hilliard explains, that plan would include a role for tech billionaire Elon Musk.
Just days from his critical face-off with Vice President Harris, former President Trump zeroing in on a top issue for voters, the economy.
We delivered an economic miracle, which Kamala and Joe turned into an economic disaster.
Among Trump's plans, increasing tariffs on imports and eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits and tips. Harris recently adopted his no tax on tips proposal.
She is actually copying a lot of my plan. In fact, we're going to send her a MAGA cap sometime in the next week.
Trump revealing he's taken a suggestion from a supporter and tech billionaire Elon Musk to create a government efficiency commission, which would audit the entire federal government to cut waste.
And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force.
Trump signed an executive order in 2020 that would have allowed for his administration to fire a segment of the federal civil workforce and hire his political appointees in their place. Musk writing, "I look forward to serving America if the opportunity arises." But that could raise conflicts of interest since he owns companies regulated by the government. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign also focusing on the economy in this new ad.
While corporations are gouging families, Trump is focused on giving them tax cuts. But Kamala Harris is focused on you.
Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency.
Our thanks to Von Hilliard for that reporting. Former President Trump is expected to deliver remarks this afternoon at the Fraternal Order of Police Conference in North Carolina. We will bring you updates from that. And while former President Trump and Vice President Harris prepare for their upcoming debate, there's one issue the two candidates can actually agree on this morning. They both oppose the sale of U.S. steel to a Japanese company, even though some local workers are desperately trying to change their minds. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez explains.
This is U.S. Steel, responsible for some 4,000 jobs across Pennsylvania, and now at the center of a fight that's growing more heated.
What frustrates you the most about all this?
I think that it's a lack of concern. You know, damn, you're right, I'm pissed.
Chris Kelly, a Democrat, is the mayor of West Mifflin, a small town near Pittsburgh with a U.S. Steel plant. His garage is also his office. At first, he was skeptical when a Japanese company, Nippon, said it wanted to buy U.S. Steel. But he says Nippon won him over by promising billions of dollars in local investments.
I've learned what the deal is about, what the offer is, the protection of jobs, the protection of the pension, protection and modernization.
Now, two people familiar with the matter tell NBC News that President Biden is preparing to announce that he will formally block the sale. Earlier this week, Vice President Harris said she opposed it too.
U.S. Steel should remain American-owned and American-operated.
Former President Trump is also against the sale, but U.S. Steel's CEO is warning without Nippon's money, he'll have to pull out of Western Pennsylvania, costing thousands of jobs, including perhaps Troy Stevenson's. He's worked at U.S. Steel for 27 years.
How worried are you about your job if this deal falls through?
Very, very. We worry about our jobs all the time. Right now, with what we know, we feel like Nippon is the better deal.
Still, union leadership argues that deal would benefit stockholders, not workers, and it doesn't believe the CEO's threat.
I think it is the most baseless, irresponsible threat and statement that any CEO could possibly make.
Mayor Chris Kelly, though, thinks his town is caught in the middle.
I believe everybody's being played as a pawn.
And as the presidential campaign intensifies here in Western Pennsylvania, Mayor Kelly says he has a message for both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Japanese investment is better than none at all. Back to you.
All right, Gabe, thank you very much. Important report there. Well, there's much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, Points probe several major airlines under investigation over their popular frequent flyer programs. Why some passengers say the rewards they've earned aren't being honored. Up first, though, no deal. Israel's prime minister now saying a ceasefire agreement is nowhere near complete.
And it's staying stormy for the Gulf Coast and the Southeast today. Coming up, we'll take a look at who's at risk for more heavy rain and flooding through the weekend.
Welcome back. Well, it looks like a soggy start to the weekend as more rain is headed to the southeast this morning. Angie Lastman's tracking the potential flooding for us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Happy Friday. Unfortunately for folks across the southeast and the Gulf Coast, there's no break for that rain that's in the forecast. We're going to keep it going with the flood watches up for 5 million people. And notice that big batch of heavy rain that's kind of centered across portions of coastal Louisiana right now. That's going to kind of set the stage for what we'll deal with through the rest of the day. And yes, parts of the southeast will see that action as well, stretching up into parts of the Carolinas. Atlanta will see some of that rain too. Here's why. We've still got that stationary front that we've essentially been talking about all week long. It's still stuck right along the coast there. We've got a couple of areas of low pressure that is keeping things just really unsettled across the entirety of the southeast through the day today and in some spots as we get into tomorrow. Notice also we have an extending cold front across the Ohio River Valley. That means that rain is in the forecast for our friends there. And eventually, as this gets on the move and moves to the east over the next 24 hours, the northeast will start to see some of that rain for their Saturday plans. The big batch of moisture for the southeast moves offshore, but notice we're still seeing some of that kind of slow moving rain centered across the Gulf Coast. They've been dealing with the rain for days and days now, so no surprise if we see some more flooding concerns across that region as we get through the weekend, even into Sunday. Now, rainfall totals for folks there, we've already received pretty good amounts, but another 1 to 3 inches will be possible. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some spots upwards of 5, maybe even 6 inches. Those will be few and far between, but still something that we'll have to watch for as we get through Sunday. As far as parts of the northeast and the Ohio River Valley are concerned, I think downwind of the lakes is where we'll see some of the highest rainfall totals. Nothing too crazy, about an inch. The rest of us, maybe 1/4 of an inch or a half of an inch. Just a little bit of good soaking rain and something that'll kind of interrupt our plans for your Friday and Saturday in some of those spots. And out west, no break from summer. I mean, the fall is nowhere in sight for folks there. We've got 50 million people from Seattle to Tucson, including LA, Las Vegas, Phoenix, dealing with these ridiculously hot temperatures for this time of year. Yesterday, Phoenix hit 116 degrees. So if that tells you where we're at this point, it's hot. 109 today, so a bit of an improvement, although I don't know if you can call that an improvement when your high is still 109. Las Vegas, is right, is 106 this afternoon. Los Angeles expect to hit 103. We've got even Portland near 100 this afternoon, and that heat dome continues tomorrow. So Fresno, Las Vegas, Palm Springs, all over 100. The 90s across much of that region, too, for Salt Lake City and Reno. And if you're looking for relief, well, keep looking, because Phoenix, you stay above 106 through at least the early part of next week.
Oh, my. 106, 109, and that's relief.
Yes.
Angie Lastman, thank you so much. We'll see you in a little bit. Of course. Well, now let's go to the Middle East, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is standing firm that a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas is still far away. Netanyahu's announcement comes after an official from the Biden administration insisted a deal was 90% agreed upon. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Raf, good morning. So walk us through these latest comments from the Israeli Prime Minister. Did he leave any hope for a deal in the coming weeks, anytime in the near future?
Savannah, good morning. For weeks now, it has been clear that the United States and the Israeli government are just not on the same page when it comes to this deal. And now we are seeing quite how far apart they are. President Biden this week saying a deal is very close. Senior administration officials saying 90% there. And then Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu going on Fox News and saying no way. Take a listen to what he had to say.
There's a story, a narrative out there that there's a deal out there. In fact, while we agreed in July and in May and July and in August to a deal and to an American proposal, Hamas has consistently said no to every one of them. So that's just a false narrative. They just want us out of Gaza so they can retake Gaza.
Now, you heard the Prime Minister there blaming Hamas for the lack of an agreement. That's not a surprise. U.S. officials say two big sticking points at this point. One is the question of how many Palestinian prisoners would be released in exchange for those Israeli hostages. But the other is Prime Minister Netanyahu's absolute refusal to withdraw from the Egypt-Gaza border, that sensitive area known as the Philadelphia corridor. He says he will not leave there, even if it means holding up a deal. Savannah.
It's becoming a real sticking point. Raf, this all comes as Hamas released a propaganda video showing Israeli-American hostage Hirsch Goldberg Poland yesterday. He was killed, though, last week, along with 5 other hostages. I do want to note the family has given permission for the video to be shown, but what should we know about that?
So all week, Savannah, Hamas has been releasing these kind of taunting videos of the 6 hostages they murdered in that tunnel in Rafah late last week. And last night it was a video of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, that 23-year-old American-Israeli who was kidnapped at the music festival. In this video, he speaks in English. As you said, it's clear he's speaking under duress. But this video was released just days after his parents buried their only son in Jerusalem. And while they are still sitting Shiva, the traditional Jewish period of mourning, and his family released a statement in response to that video. John and Rachel, his parents, who campaigned tirelessly for his release, I want to read you just a little bit of that statement. They say, "This must serve as an immediate wake-up call to the world to take action to secure the release of the remaining 101 hostages before it's too late. No other family should go through what our family and the families of other recently executed hostages have endured." And that really echoes, Savannah, a message that we heard from them at their own son's funeral, that while they were laying their child to rest, they made clear that they remain committed to the fight to try to free those other 101 hostages. And Hirsch's father expressed hope that just maybe his son's death might be the fuel to get that deal over the line. Savannah.
Just truly so heartbreaking. Raf, this is all happening alongside mass protests following the fact that those 6 hostages were found dead. The families now of American hostages held by Hamas, we're learning they've been pressing the White House to strike its own deal with Hamas, specifically about Americans that are being held. Where do things stand there?
Right. So these families have basically lost faith in Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government to get a deal done. And they are looking to the United States to strike its own deal with Hamas to try to free the 7 remaining American hostages. Savannah, we should be clear, a deal between the United States and a terrorist organization like Hamas is unlikely. Administration officials say no formal offer has been offered, but it is being considered, and it is a sign of the frustration inside the White House that 11 months on, they still cannot get this deal over the line, and that the U.S. has a responsibility to its own citizens to get them out safely. Savannah.
All right, Raf Sanchez, thank you very much. Well, coming up, heading home, Boeing Starliner spacecraft being sent back to Earth without a crew. More on today's return flight after months of delays. And more teens say they're ditching e-cigs for tobacco alternatives. What doctors want you to know if you're trying to quit. Next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. The Biden administration is launching a new probe into the loyalty rewards programs of 4 of the nation's biggest airlines. The Transportation Department says the investigation is going to focus on protecting airline customers from unfair and deceptive practices. Here's NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello with the details.
The airlines now the focus of a DOT investigation. United, American, Delta, and Southwest. All 4 ordered to provide detailed information about their rewards programs, practices, and policies. In a letter to airline CEOs, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg writes the goal is to ensure that customer rewards are protected from any practices that would diminish their value, benefit, or availability.
Many consumers cultivate point or miles balances just like saving accounts. But unlike the dollars in our savings accounts, the value of points and miles is completely up to the companies that issue them.
Customers earn rewards by flying or using a co-branded credit card. But many airlines reserve the right to change the terms and value of accrued points. With Americans relying on reward points for family vacations, the probe is focused on airlines that devalue earned reward points, the true hidden value of rewards, extra fees to maintain or redeem rewards, and whether programs reduce competition and choice. Passenger Lauren Randall says it often feels like bait and switch.
It feels like there's an algorithm that's stacked against me when I'm trying to book these flights through my miles, and that I'm not getting any benefit out of it.
The airline industry says millions of Americans use loyalty programs, and airlines are transparent about the programs. But the details can be buried in the fine print, and vary from airline to airline. Back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. Well, later today, Boeing Starliner spacecraft will try to return to Earth from the International Space Station, but without a crew. The capsule originally docked in space on June 5th with 2 astronauts on board. Of course, you remember this. Its return flight was delayed after several issues were discovered with its thrusters, and then also discovered helium was leaking in its propulsion system. This was a major setback for Boeing. They're trying to be a primary builder of space vehicles for NASA. Well, now, barring bad weather conditions, the Starliner will attempt its return flight today. Meanwhile, those astronauts on the space station, they are set to come home in February on a SpaceX capsule. Just a little longer, a few months longer than they plan to be in space. Well, now let's get to a new report that finds vaping among young people is on a steady decline. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, it's dropped to its lowest level in a decade. For more on this nuanced report, though, let's bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Patel. Good morning, Dr. Patel. Always great to have you with us. So what is behind this drop in vaping among younger people, especially when we keep on hearing a lot of concerns still about vaping and new technology in vaping?
Yeah, the two actually are coexisting. Yes, there is a drop, Savannah. There's about 1.63 million students that reported using e-cigarettes in 2024, and that's a drop from about 2.1 million just a year before, and an even more significant drop from 2019. So yes, there is a drop, but that's still 1.6 million students. 26% are using that every single day, so that's still significant. But to your point, there is also a decline. That decline has been driven primarily by some really important FDA actions to make sure that they're kind of preventing any of the marketing that students can see, the flavors, things like that, and also some of these imports and just cracking down in general on the age appropriateness for e-cigarettes.
So, I mean, this big thing, right, about vaping initially, this is even according to the National Library of Medicine, it was marketed as this alternative to smoking, or importantly, and maybe helpfully, maybe a healthy way to look at it, a way for people to quit smoking a traditional cigarette. Right. Of course, so what we've actually seen is a lot of young people take up vaping who were never smoking before. So is there any amount here of help actually happening? Is vaping actually doing anything good for certain people?
Yeah, it's a great question, Savannah, especially in the youth population, which we're talking about in teens. There is nothing good that it's doing. In fact, we're seeing now some of those detrimental effects. It's not necessarily that these students are switching from kind of traditional cigarettes to e-cigarettes. Many of these students are picking this up as a new behavior. And we know that despite having, in most cases, reduced nicotine, we've talked about this before here, that sometimes it's even more nicotine and you don't necessarily know what's in your cigarette, and it's still causing damage, possibly even worse, to your lungs.
And while vaping, technically that bigger number is down, the survey found that the use of nicotine pouches remains relatively unchanged among adolescents. Tell us what those pouches are, and then kind of just wrap this up for us, Dr. Patel. Is this good news here, or is this kind of still like, okay, maybe some numbers have shifted a little bit, but really, like, this is still a concern, the use of nicotine in any form for young people?
Yeah, I think your latter point is the most important one to start with. Any form is just not acceptable, and so we need to continue to drive the decline. I also just say year-to-year statistics, we want to look for that continued trend year after year after year. So let's look for that. And then to your point about nicotine patches, and I'll just put that in the grouping of alternative products, because there's lots of ways to get nicotine nowadays, and the pouches, as you're right, Savannah, are one of them. And these are just pouches that look like, almost like, they look like gum, those bubble gum kind of round containers that you and I might see when we're passing any retail store. In this case, they contain what looks like gum, but it's nicotine. So I think it's just important to remind people when they need to quit, there's ways and places and mechanisms for helping your teen or your students to quit. They're very much aligned with what we do to traditionally help anybody quit, including adults. I'd recommend the Quit Start app. It helps gamify teens to quit, and also talking to their health professional about using some alternatives, because nicotine can be addictive. So we can decrease the rate of nicotine and offer alternatives as well.
And you point out, you just make such a good point about them almost looking like bubble gum. I think a lot of the problem here is how much a lot of this looks like something kind of fun for somebody young. The colors, the flavors, the packaging. Even now I'm working on a story about vapes that even have a smart screen on them where you can get your text or play games. I mean, it's just all that up against a young developing brain. It's just not fair. You got to be involved as a parent. Dr. Patel, thank you so much. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Coming up, the drug debate making its way to the campaign trail. When we come back, how America's growing drug crisis could be a key issue in the November election. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. with a look at the role the fentanyl and opioid crisis is having in the election. According to the CDC, in 2022, drug overdose deaths claim more American lives than car crashes and shootings combined. Now, family members who lost loved ones to the crisis are pushing the presidential candidates for answers. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian has more on which candidate families who have lost loved ones say has consistently spoken about the crisis.
Dawn Allen's son Benjamin grew up watching her campaign for Democrats.
My enthusiasm about Joe Biden was probably greater than any other president that's ever run before.
Then, 2 years into the Biden administration, Dawn's son went to bed and never woke up.
We were able to establish that he got a counterfeit pill that was pressed with illicit fentanyl, and Benjamin was one of 4 young people in Lake County where we live who died of illicit fentanyl.
As she mourned, she became frustrated by what she feels is inaction by the Biden administration on the opioid crisis. And she grew increasingly attracted to Donald Trump's tough talk.
And it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels.
Dawn is part of a growing number of opioid-affected families who have embraced Trump.
It feels like a really bad breakup.
Some even rallying with former Trump officials.
Please welcome American mom and funder.
Republicans highlighted the crisis in prime time at their convention, featuring a mom whose son died from fentanyl poisoning.
This fight is for your children.
By contrast, no primetime speaker at the Democratic National Convention mentioned the opioid crisis, even after activists tried to draw attention by hanging billboards around Chicago. Trump talks about fentanyl often.
Fentanyl's like laced into everything now. It's horrible. It's horrible, yeah.
I think that the Biden administration has let this get so wildly out of control that maybe the only way to kind of get it back underway is to have somebody who's willing to come in and be kind of the bad guy.
A White House spokesperson disputed that Biden allowed the fentanyl problem to fester. But under Biden, deaths from fentanyl rose by 30% to more than 70,000. Experts say a slight decrease in deaths last year is probably due to the increased use of Narcan that reverses overdoses, something Biden made widely available. The Biden administration captured 2 leaders of the Mexican cartel that exports the most fentanyl, but no one believes that will stop the flow. Biden also significantly increased access to treatment. Trump says he will close the border and use the military to target Mexican cartel leaders. But that would be an act of war against an ally.
The opioid crisis is the most lethal drug epidemic ever in human history.
Vonda Felbab-Brown has studied illegal drugs for decades. She says neither party has a magic bullet.
So this is a devilishly difficult problem.
It is a devilishly difficult problem. Getting to a situation where there is no fentanyl coming to the United States, it's just not realistic.
The White House says they've met with hundreds of families and have made the issue a top priority. The Harris campaign told us if she wins, she would revive the border security bill and seek even more money for treatment. Some experts call Trump's emphasis misguided. He focuses on shutting down illegal border crossings, but most fentanyl is smuggled in by Americans through legal ports of entry. But they also say the Biden-Harris administration has not been nearly tough enough in the face of Mexican government inaction and corruption. Dawn and other fentanyl families want the issue on the front burner.
We don't feel seen. We don't feel heard.
Ken Delanian, NBC News, Washington.
Let's get to some financial headlines now. Red Lobster is one step closer to exiting bankruptcy. CNBC's Savannah Hanau joins us with that and other news. Hey, Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, so Red Lobster is emerging from bankruptcy after a federal judge approved the restaurant chain's turnaround plans. A new entity controlled by private investment firm Fortress will buy Red Lobster. Fortress also owns other restaurant brands, including Crystal and Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Once the deal is complete, Red Lobster will be run by the former CEO of P.F. Chang's. The company filed for Chapter 11 in May and closed dozens of locations after amassing a mountain of debt, cycling through multiple CEOs and 30% drop in guests since 2019. Toyota is reportedly cutting its electric vehicle production by a third, becoming the latest automaker to roll back plans as sales decline. Toyota now intends to build 1 million EVs in 2026. That's down about 500,000 from previous targets. Toyota has put far more efforts into developing hybrids than electric vehicles. earlier this week, Volvo scrapped its goal of going all electric by 2030. And get this, Chipotle is getting into the Halloween spirit. The burrito chain announcing a costume collection with Spirit Halloween. That's the seasonal pop-up store. It's made up of bodysuits that look like a Chipotle napkin, a fork, a water cup, a burrito, and a to-go bag. Chipotle is capitalizing on a running joke online where it posted a fake fork bodysuit with the caption, "Found your costume." The costumes are available now online and at select Spirit Halloween stores.
Okay, I think that is hilarious. Anybody wearing that wins Halloween. I love it so much. Also, though, I'm not ready to talk about Halloween.
I would just wrap myself in aluminum, though.
Yeah, I know. Be the burrito. I love it. Silvana, thank you.
You got it.
Well, coming up, she's hanging up her cleats. Up next, women's soccer superstar Alex Morgan retiring from the sport after a legendary 15-year run. Her message to fans and the second life change that came as a surprise even to her. Plus, like father, like son, we'll introduce you to the NFL coaching duo that's making football a family business. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. U.S. soccer icon Alex Morgan has announced she's retiring from the sport. The world champion and Olympic gold medalist posted an emotional video on her Instagram Thursday saying how proud she is of the impact she's had on the game for the next generation. It's not the only announcement she's shared. Take a look.
Charlie's going to be a big sister. I am pregnant.
Congratulations to Alex and her family, including her daughter, Charlie. If you want to catch Morgan's last match, she will play with the San Diego Wave Football Club, when they take on North Carolina Courage on Sunday. Well, finally, this hour, let's stay on sports news. The NFL season now officially underway, of course, and two coaches with the Tennessee Titans are making America's game part of the family business. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has more on the coaching duo and the special bond they share.
Yeah, that's it. Get over the ball. Get over the ball. Burst, Trey, burst.
When you're an NFL head coach, you're in charge of a lot.
Practice schedules, daily schedules.
But when the Tennessee Titans hired Brian Callahan this year, he also brought an unlikely coaching playbook.
Among all the people you have to deal with, you got to deal with this guy.
Yeah, it's great.
Go, hit it! That's Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan. Brian also calls him Dad.
It's the dream come true in a lot of ways. It's surreal in a lot of ways.
Bill has spent decades coaching college and pro teams. And like father, like son.
And then he got into coaching. And then he totally broke his mother's heart.
But when Brian got his first NFL head coaching gig in Nashville, he offered Dad a job. Offensive coordinator Nick Holtz is caught in the middle.
It's like you're talking to the same person at times. So you're like, wait, there's just the older version and the younger version.
It's kind of confusing. I just call them both coach.
You calling him Dad when you're calling plays? What is that like?
I try. I mean, yeah, that's a good question. It's a great question.
Sounds like the answer is yes.
No, I try to stay with coach.
Couple dads have slipped out.
Here and there.
Whatever they go by, this father and son are right where they want to be.
To end my career with my son, you couldn't ask for a better scenario.
A new season kickoff that's redefining the family business.
Got Titans on 3. 1, 2, 3, Titans!
Jesse Kirsch, NBC News, Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, love that question. Do you call him Dad in front of everybody? It seems hard not to. Great report. Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much for that. And happy football season. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's on assignment today. Developing right now on Morning News Now. Heartache and healing in Georgia as a community just outside Atlanta comes together in the wake of that horrific school shooting that left 2 teens and 2 teachers dead. The suspected gunman and now his father facing charges in connection to the tragedy. And this morning, Senator J.D. Vance is drawing some pretty harsh criticism over campaign trail comments he made on America's gun violence epidemic.
First of all, what happened in Georgia is just an awful tragedy. Look, I don't like this. I don't like to admit this. I don't like that this is a fact of life.
The political war of words now taking center stage just weeks before Election Day. Also this morning, a surprising guilty plea from Hunter Biden in that federal tax case against him, avoiding what could have possibly been a costly trial in the run-up to November. What's next for the president's son as he awaits sentencing? And elsewhere on the campaign trail this morning, Vice President Harris and former President Trump are laying out their visions for the economy with just 4 days to go until they meet on the debate stage next week. It comes as Mr. Trump promises billionaire Elon Musk a seat in his administration if he returns to the White House. We're covering it all. And later in the hour, it's the return of Beetlejuice to the silver screen. But how is the latest Tim Burton film holding up with fans and critics? Grab your popcorn. You know what time it is. Everything you simply can't miss this weekend. Good morning, and thank you again for being with us. We're going to get started this hour with Hunter Biden and his guilty plea to all the charges in his federal tax case. The plea came just shortly before jury selection in the trial was set to get underway. Hunter was facing 9 criminal counts over allegations that he engaged in a 4-year scheme to get out of paying at least $1.4 million in taxes. The decision, Hunter Biden says, was made in an effort to spare his family any further pain. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the details.
Hey there. The president's son showed up to court hoping to maintain his innocence through a rare conditional plea. But once it became clear that was a non-starter, he had to go all the way. A guilty plea with no more, no deal, no bargain. Now at the mercy of only the judge.
This morning, a new chapter for Hunter Biden, pleading guilty to federal tax charges now, the last-minute effort to avoid a potentially devastating trial coming on the first day of jury selection in Los Angeles, where the president's son faced 9 counts, 3 felonies and 6 misdemeanors, including tax evasion, filing false tax returns, and failing to pay his taxes on time. In a statement, Hunter Biden saying in part, "I will not subject my family to more pain, more invasions of privacy, and needless embarrassment. Like millions of Americans, I failed to file and pay my taxes on time. For that, I am responsible." His attorney, Mark Geragos, saying he was prepared to go to trial, but recent rulings from the judge would have led to putting more of Hunter's troubled past on display.
Was he conflicted about it?
I think anybody would be conflicted about it. There's an old expression, you can beat the rap, but not the ride. And I think that perfectly encapsulates what happened here.
The last ride, a rough one, as Hunter Biden was convicted of federal gun charges in Delaware in June. His past drug abuse playing a large part in that case, and this one too, as prosecutors accused him here of using his famous name to bankroll his drug addiction and lavish spending. His ultimate sentence in California and in Delaware soon in the hands of the court, unless he's pardoned, something President Biden has said he would not do. Now, with Vice President Harris atop the ticket, the White House says,
well, you've heard President Biden make the commitment that that wouldn't happen. I wouldn't imagine that changing with Vice President Harris.
As for what happens next now, Hunter Biden is set to be sentenced in Delaware in November, just after the election, and then a month later in California. Back to you.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. Well, this morning, the 14-year-old suspect facing murder charges for his role in a Georgia high school shooting on Wednesday is expected to make his first court appearance. Charges were also brought against the suspect's father last night, including second-degree murder, alleging that he knowingly allowed his son to possess a weapon. NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar is in Winder, Georgia, with the latest.
That's right, Savannah. 14-year-old Colt Gray is expected to appear in court later this morning. He is being tried as an adult and is facing 4 felony counts of murder for each of those victims. And in a surprise twist overnight, his father now being arrested, and now he's facing charges of his own.
This morning, new charges against the father of the accused shooter in Georgia, as 14-year-old Colt Gray is expected to be arraigned after the deadly morning that left 4 people dead, including 2 students and 2 teachers. And overnight, his 54-year-old father, Colin Gray, was charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children.
These charges stem from Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son, Colt, to possess a weapon.
2 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation telling NBC News the father gave his son an AR-15 style rifle as a gift after they were interviewed by authorities last year following an online thread. The same type of weapon was used in the mass shooting. According to an investigator's incident report following that interview last year, Colin Gray told authorities that his son was allowed to use his father's hunting rifles when supervised, but, quote, does not have unfettered access. Investigators this morning are still searching for a motive, indicating Gray was a brand new student to the district. Wednesday, just his second day at the high school. Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith crediting a new safety app which was implemented at the school just last week with the quick response from police and with saving lives.
The teachers each have an ID with their picture on it, and they have a button on that ID, and they press it so many times, and it alerts us where that incident is occurring. We prevented more deaths interacting with the suspect within minutes.
This morning, we're also learning of heroic acts by math teacher and football coach Richard Aspinwall. Witnesses say he died protecting his students.
If he wouldn't have gone out there and checked and seen what the commotion was, who knows if that kid would have been able to come into a second classroom. So he is by far a hero.
And guys, back to the arrest of the alleged shooter's father. This isn't the first time that prosecutors have tried to hold parents responsible for the actions of their children in these mass school shootings. You guys may remember James and Jennifer Crumbly from earlier this year. They were each sentenced to 10 years for their role in their son Ethan Crumbly's mass shooting of a Michigan school back in 2021 that left 4 students dead. Savannah?
Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas with more on this, and pardon a studio noise that we are dealing with here. Danny, good morning. Thank you for being back with us this hour. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's start on Colin Gray, the father of Colt Gray. So he's the first parent of an accused school shooter to be charged specifically with murder.
Yes.
But our viewers may remember this comes months after Ethan Crumbly's parents. This was a shooter in Michigan, that Oxford high school shooting. They were both convicted of involuntary manslaughter. So I guess first, just what's different about this case where there are murder charges rather than involuntary manslaughter alone? And how do you see this going? Is this a trend where we see parents being held responsible for actions of their children?
Your second question is spot on. We are living in a sea change moment in American legal history, because for all of American history, we did not hold parents criminally responsible for the crimes of their children unless they participated in the crime. That essentially changed in the last year when the parents of Ethan Crumbly were charged with crimes connected to the shooting perpetrated by their son. And that was a crime that the jury accepted and they convicted. Is it precedential in the sense that it forces a change on the country? No, it is one single court's verdict, one jury's verdict. But it really reflects an American change in thought that school shootings are so bad that we are now ready and prepared to hold parents responsible if they are reckless in providing a firearm to their children. So, and this is murder charged not necessarily as an intentional murder, but possibly in the category of reckless murder, which is another category of murder. In other words, you may not intend the murder, but there is a variety of murder, a kind of murder in which if your actions are so depraved, so reckless, so indifferent to human life, then you can still be charged with murder.
Okay. What do you think here in terms of the likelihood of a conviction? I mean, obviously a horrific crime. 4 people lost their lives. This is also, though, unfolding in Georgia, a state with pretty loose gun laws, a pro-gun population. What do you think the chances are here?
So I may be in the minority here, but I actually think if I'm a prosecutor, I do want a jury drawn from a community that has a lot of lawful firearm owners. Because, and for most of my life, I lived in a community like this, a lot of firearm owners, not myself, never owned one. But what I find is you might get a lot of firearm owners who are very intolerant of negligent behavior when it comes to firearm ownership. Of course, if I'm the prosecutor, maybe I do want someone from a community where there aren't a lot of guns and where there aren't a lot of gun owners. Maybe they would be equally as offended at what the defendant did. But I don't necessarily think this is a bad jury pool if you're in a rural environment or a rural jurisdiction where you have a large incident of lawful gun owners. They may be really harsh on this kind of behavior.
I think you hear details like just generally if there was this access to a gun, if a gun, an assault-style rifle was gifted, and then, of course, this point about was that gifted after there was that questioning of were you making threats of a school shooting. What do you make of that from a legal perspective? How does that shape up as an argument?
I'm glad you brought that up because there's been a lot of discussion about what states have rules about securing firearms and allowing children access to them. And I don't know that that really matters that much. What we've seen, for example, in the Crumbley case, is that prosecutors use a simple theory of recklessness that can apply to anything. There's a danger, there's a risk. Did you consciously disregard it? Were you aware of it? And being aware of it, did you allow the substantial risk to continue? This is basic recklessness. It is the minimum standard that we hold people criminally responsible for. So you simply apply traditional criminal principles of intent, knowledge, and you can hold a parent liable for their reckless behavior in allowing their child to have access to a firearm and use that firearm if they know that that child is struggling with mental health issues and they know that that child poses a threat. It is always a challenge to prove that the threat was real enough, but we've seen from the Crumbley case that it is doable. And now that that seal has been broken, we may see a major change in American jurisprudence. We are here really, I believe, at the beginning of a huge shift in the way we think about parental accountability.
Absolutely. What do you make of a 14-year-old being tried as an adult? Does that complicate things? How do you see that playing out?
Not at all. Happens all the time. It's usually called transfer, depending on the jurisdiction. I've had clients who were juveniles who were transferred to adult court. We have an interesting way of looking at juveniles in the United States. We think of them under a certain age, and that age varies from state to state. Under a certain age, they're not criminally responsible. But if they do something especially bad, we will charge them as adults, even if we don't ordinarily think they're responsible. It's a bit of a paradox, but it makes sense. If somebody does something really, really bad, then they belong in adult court. At least that's what we've said as a society and as a country. We have a juvenile system under a certain age. There's no, I guess it's a neurological question, whether or not juveniles have responsibility for what they do. We'll treat them differently. But after they reach majority age, they're adults, or if they do something awful, then we will make the moves to try them as an adult.
Danny Ceballos, thank you very much covering everything for us this morning. We appreciate you being here with us. Well, Wednesday's shooting in Georgia is reigniting a nationwide debate about whether students should be able to have their cell phones in class. NBC News correspondent Rahima Ellis spoke to the head of the National Parents Union. They say many parents believe it's a crucial safety measure.
When shots rang out in Winder, Georgia, Area Bowling called her mother Tabitha from inside the school.
It's scary, and I'm thankful that she did have her phone so that I could know that she was in this situation.
Increasingly, schools nationwide are putting limits on kids' cell phones. The tragic school shooting has a lot of parents concerned about staying in touch. Carrie Rodriguez is president of the National Parents Union. What are you hearing from parents?
Deep frustration, deep fear, deep anxiety that they're not going to know what's happening with their child if an emergency arises. And frankly, if a child needs to reach out to a parent for help and support, they should be able to do so.
2,100 middle school students in Marietta, Georgia, have been locking their cell phones in pouches since last spring.
Where we wanted students to be focused and present and free from distractions in class.
Superintendent Dr. Grant Rivera says the decision came after extensive discussions with parents, teachers, and law enforcement about what to do in an emergency.
One of the dynamics they've shared with us is that we don't want students being distracted by cell phones while they are listening to the directives and commands of adults who've been trained on how to respond.
Dr. Rivera says, unlike some other schools, in Marietta, every classroom has a device to quickly unlock the pouches in the event of an emergency and when it's safe to do so. Parents and schools trying to strike a delicate balance between learning, safety, and being connected. Rahima Ellis, NBC News.
Well, this week's shooting in Georgia was the big topic on the campaign trail yesterday. This as we're now 4 days until the presidential debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us with the latest from the trail. Peter, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. You were talking about how this has now reignited the debate over whether you should have cell phones in school. It's also reigniting that debate over gun violence in this country, where these competing candidates have very different views about how to respond to the crisis. Mr. Trump's running mate calling for new actions to fortify schools. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign is pushing for tougher restrictions broadly, including efforts to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. A political war of words breaking out overnight after Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance weighed in on the Georgia school shooting.
The Kamala Harris answer to this is to take law-abiding American citizens' guns away from them. Clearly, strict gun laws is not the thing that is going to solve this problem. I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools.
Vice President Harris focusing on the fact of life comment, writing, "School shootings are not just a fact of life. It doesn't have to be this way." Vance responding, "Instead of addressing her own failures, she lies about what I said." Harris's running mate Tim Walz also on the attack, calling the Vance comments pathetic and campaigning in the key swing state of Pennsylvania.
I think is a brilliant quote by your great governor, Josh Shapiro. And I hear him say this, whenever Donald Trump's talking about America, he's talking America.
While both presidential candidates are focusing on the economy this week, Mr. Trump promising to establish a government efficiency commission that would audit the federal government to cut waste, an idea floated to him by controversial tech billionaire and Trump supporter Elon Musk.
And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force.
Musk writing, "I look forward to serving America if the opportunity arises," though any official role in a Trump administration would likely raise conflicts of interest because Musk owns companies that have major contracts with the government. Among Mr. Trump's other economic plans, higher tariffs on imports and eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits and tips, a proposal recently embraced by Harris.
She is actually copying a lot of my plan. In fact, we're going to send her a MAGA cap sometime in the next week.
So about Mr. Trump's plan to increase tariffs on imports, Harris has slammed that as what she calls a Trump tax that would cost American consumers. Mr. Trump notably yesterday also warned that a Harris presidency would lead this country into what he called a 1929 depression. But you'll remember he said the same thing during the last campaign against Joe Biden. Of course, a prediction that proved wrong. Savannah.
All right, Peter, thank you so much.
Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now. Summer is still in full swing across the West with another day of heat alerts coming up. We'll take a look at how long that dangerous heat sticks around. Stay with us.
First, though, a major upgrade to 911 call centers across the country. After the break, how the introduction of video calls could help emergency dispatchers save more lives. We'll take a look at some new tech up next. Back now with a look at how new technology is changing the way 911 call centers respond to emergencies. Many of us are used to those calls being audio only. Now, across the country, there's going to be a new way for callers on cell phones to share live video that could potentially help dispatchers save more lives. Here's NBC News Now anchor Kate Snow with more on the groundbreaking technology.
At Delaware County Emergency Services outside Philadelphia,
Delaware County 911.
Dispatchers can hear and see what's on the other end of a 911 call, from a house fire.
You see it? Yeah, that's the glowing behind that.
To a car stuck in a creek.
I see it.
To a runaway thief.
Is that this Tahoe sitting on the corner? Yes.
Live video is changing the way dispatchers respond to an emergency.
That has to be a game changer. It is. It makes all the difference in the world.
Raquel Lewandowski has been a 911 call taker since 1994.
When somebody on a landline called us, it would show us their phone number and who paid the bill. Now I have all this technology.
Today, Raquel can get up to 60 calls during her 12-hour shift, mainly from cell phones.
Stay on the phone with me. Do not hang up. Okay? Is the baby still seizing?
Through a platform called Prepared, Raquel can send callers a link asking them to allow video sharing and more.
They're going to get a text message. It's going to say, it's Delaware County 911. Tap on this link to open. And when it opens it up, I'm not looking at them. I'm looking at what they're looking at on their phone.
Like the time she helped a woman who was lost in the woods.
She was scared because she was by herself in this park and it was dusk.
I was walking the trail, but I got a little twisted up and I'm lost in here. I'm going to try sending you a link and it'll open up to me and I'll be able to see exactly where you are. And it should pinpoint on a map where you're at, too.
As soon as she opened it, I could see the skyline, Philadelphia. So you kind of knew where she was? I kind of knew exactly where she was, and I was start walking this direction.
Delaware County is one of the nearly 1,000 call centers across the country that have bought Prepared. Beyond video, it uses artificial intelligence to transcribe a live call, make notes.
Wait, you didn't write that? No.
The
Yeah.
AI wrote, Mrs. Brennan has
AI.
called 911 multiple times after slipping off her bed. She's waiting for assistance.
And it translates if someone is speaking another language.
I can imagine 10, 20 years ago,
They would hang up on me. They would get so frustrated, they would hang up on me.
26-year-old CEO Michael Chime started the company 5 years ago with 2 of his classmates at Yale.
We created Prepared because 80–90% of 911 calls were coming from mobile devices in our pockets. But when people called 911, the systems assumed that those calls were still landline, that only audio was available to help better understand what that person was going through.
Video can change everything. Chime recounts a caller reporting domestic violence who turned on her camera.
She says you're on stream with 911, and the guy runs away. It was as if somebody was there before responders
Just
had.
her holding the phone and saying,
Yeah.
I'm on with 911.
Yeah,
Video.
exactly. Yeah.
And sharing video is about to get easier for iPhone users. Anyone with the newest Apple operating system who calls 911 in an area that has Prepared will be able to click and share pictures and live video instantaneously without having to receive a link.
You're going to demonstrate what a 911 call would look like on an iPhone now.
Yes, so I'll call 911.
Delaware County 911, dispatcher 141, where is your emergency?
Hi, we're calling from the 911 center.
Okay, I see that. I see device live video. I went ahead and hit it.
Live stream will pop up, the notification.
And you're just going to push the button.
Yeah, I'll hit share. And then I'll have live stream.
Perfect. I can see everything that you see.
A recent survey found 82% of call centers nationwide are understaffed, leading to widespread burnout.
It's overwhelming to know that you have such a responsibility to everyone in our county.
People with iPhones can now click and instantly have video to you. What will that mean?
That's going to be so much faster.
Yeah.
When
So
I
what
say
will
faster,
that
it's only
mean?
seconds, but for seconds for someone in my field is life-changing. It means everything.
Our thanks to Kate for that fabulous reporting. Well, on Monday, Apple is expected to officially announce the launch date for its new phones and operating system. That's iOS 18. Tech insiders say based on previous years, the release will likely come mid-September. Prepared CEO Michael Chime says they're hoping to work with other companies like Google so that Android phones could have the same way of clicking and providing video right away. He says that once a caller consents to sharing video, that data then lives with the county or city that's taken in the call. Just like a 911 audio call, local agencies could be asked for the video, and it could potentially be admissible in court. Important details. Let's get you over to weather now. Dangerously high temperatures are expected again today in the west. Angie Laston's back in studio with us with what to expect. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. We made it to Friday, and there is just simply no relief for our friends out west that are dealing with the ridiculously hot temperatures. We've still got the heat alerts up for a lot of the same locations that have been dealing with this for days and days. Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, stretching down to L.A., Las Vegas, Phoenix, all included in these heat alerts. We've got heat warnings in the bright pink. We've got heat advisories in that bright orange. Temperatures once again expected to hit the triple digits in a lot of spots. Specifically, Las Vegas expected to head to 106. We've got 103 later this afternoon in Los Angeles. And we've got Phoenix expected to head to 109 degrees. A little bit better, I suppose, than what we dealt with yesterday in Phoenix, which we saw a high of 116 degrees. And this comes after a very long stretch of temperatures over 110 degrees each day for 56 days in a row. Today will mark 57. So it's been a brutal stretch of some really warm temperatures for our friends across all of the Southwest, but specifically Phoenix. Still the high 90s for Portland. Boise expected to hit 94 degrees. So the above average trend is going to continue. We've got a heat dome in place, so no surprise, even as we get into tomorrow, Las Vegas 105, Palm Springs 111, Reno into the low 90s, Salt Lake City into the low 90s as well. And as we look ahead into the late part of our weekend and into early next week, there is a little bit of improvement for some spots. So places like Los Angeles, you're still going to end the weekend with triple digits, 100 degrees on Sunday, near 100 on Monday, but a big improvement by the time Tuesday rolls around with a high of just 89 degrees. Still warm, but not quite as brutal as what we're expecting over the next couple of days. Phoenix, you stay into the triple digits all the way through the early part of next week. We'll have to wait until really the later portions of next week to see any improvement there. We've got 90s for Salt Lake City, Reno into the 90s as well. So So some spots going to see some improvements, but others still going to be dealing with this brutal heat for the extended period. And the rain, that is another big story across the Gulf Coast, where we've seen multiple days of this kind of heavy, pesky rain that has led us to leave these flood watches up for a lot of folks over the past couple of days. And today is no different. From Texas stretching into the panhandle of Florida, we've got Panama City, New Orleans, Lake Charles, all under these flood watches, totaling 5 million people. Really no surprise with those multiple days in a row that we've had all of this rain. And we've got more where that came from. So parts of the southeast will see some of this as well. The showers, the thunderstorms, really that good soaking rain that, of course, you need, but not all at once. So that's what we're going to see across that region. The Ohio Valley, meanwhile, will see a different system, a cold front that's going to work across today, bring a little rain there. That works into the northeast tomorrow. Most of it is offshore by the later portions of the day, but we could see a little bit of a soggy kind of forecast across the East Coast for your Saturday. The nice conditions will last, though, for the middle of the country and the fall-like weather, too. That little chill in the air, especially in the mornings. It'll be in place on Saturday across the Great Lakes, Savannah. Nicer conditions for the Northeast by the time we get into Sunday.
Great day. Love that.
2 thumbs up
Love
for
that.
Sunday in the
Love that.
Northeast.
Right up where we live. Angie, thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, coming up, the NFL is going global, not, though, just across the pond. After the break, we're taking you to Brazil, where the Eagles and Packers will play their season opener in prime time tonight. We've got a full preview of the action. That's coming up next. Welcome back. Tonight, the NFL is going global in a way we've never seen before. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers will play their season opener in what will be the first NFL game ever held in South America. We just heard from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell on the Today Show this morning. Here's some of what he had to say about the energy building up ahead of this big game.
The passion down here is just extraordinary. The real goal is to share our game. When we share it with fans, they love it. And this will be the spark that sort of lights the flame down here to really get this game at a different position.
And NBC News correspondent Kaylee Hartung is in Sao Paulo ahead of what's shaping up to be a memorable night for the NFL.
Bom dia from Sao Paulo. That is all the Portuguese I know. But how cool is this? The excitement is really starting to build in this sprawling city. Tickets for this game sold out in just 2 hours, and about 500,000 people were left disappointed in the queue. But for those lucky enough to score a seat, this is going to be a Friday Night Lights like we have never seen before.
Touchdown in Brazil. The Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers are ready for kickoff and feeling the vibes ahead of the NFL's first ever game in South America. In a country that's football crazed, the popularity of American football is growing fast. The NFL estimates interest in Brazil has skyrocketed from 3 million to 38 million over the last decade. Jordan Mailata is proof of the global reach of the game, a former Australian rugby player turned Eagles captain.
What do you anticipate the environment in here being like on Friday night?
I think it's going to be like a home game in Philly. Loud, fun. It's just going to be, I hope there's chance, just the whole game.
Here in the heart of Sao Paulo, one of the biggest cities in the world, stands Corinthians Arena. In 2014, it was host to the World Cup, and in 2016, some of the Summer Olympic Games.
But in a matter of days, it's been transformed from a Brazilian soccer club's home pitch to a football field.
The work behind the scenes to get this game covered and streamed live on Peacock may be even more impressive. Just 6 days ago, this was an empty parking garage beneath the stadium. The control room shipped over piece by piece and assembled to match an NBC Sports production truck. Compared to Super Bowls and Olympics, how unique has this undertaking been?
Probably the largest challenge has been the short period of time we've had to complete this task in 4 days. We've got a great crew, probably the best of the best.
And some of the league's best talent will be on display. 2 of the highest paid quarterbacks for teams who both made the playoffs last year, back with supersized goals.
Now, we all know what the Brazilian flag looks like, right? The stripes of green and gold. Yep, those are the Packers colors, too. And the Eagles have their own shade of green as well. But in these parts, green is an unpopular color due to a rivalry between 2 Brazilian soccer clubs. There's an unofficial ban in this stadium on green, but not tonight. We'll see plenty of green here in Sao Paulo. Back to you.
Kaylee Hartung, so cool you're there. Thank you so much. Well, now let's head to Arizona, where a 12-year-old boy has been getting an unusual amount of get-well texts after a shocking attack on an NFL player hundreds of miles away. Reporter Gabriela Becerra from our affiliate station in Phoenix has the story.
At 12 years old, Lincoln Schreck finally got his own phone.
I was very excited about it.
Or so he thought. He's been sharing the number with its former owner.
We assumed it had to be somebody's old number.
Lincoln didn't think much of these strange texts.
How's practice going? How's camp going?
Until last weekend, when his phone was ringing off the hook.
I was responding wrong number to as many as I could, and after a couple of them, one of them responded that it was the former number of an NFL player.
NFL player Ricky Pearsall. He's a wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers now, but back when he had this phone number, Pearsall was a student athlete at Corona del Sol High School in Tempe.
I was just kind of shocked and confused.
All of the messages Lincoln's getting now,
Ricky, I'm sure you probably have a new number,
are words of support for Pearsall.
Praying for you tonight.
Pearsall is expected to be okay after being shot in the chest during an attempted robbery in San Francisco.
I'm sure he is getting a lot of feel better texts, but that he's getting more than he's even seeing.
Lincoln says he wants Pearsall to see how loved and cared for he is.
I think that's very important for him to know, because I know he's going through a very hard time right now.
So, Ricky, if you remember your old phone number...
But I just mainly hope that this gets to Ricky.
There's a boy on the other line waiting to pass along a message or two.
Really glad you're okay, kid. God bless you. We love you.
Okay, that was just too sweet. Our thanks to Gabriela Becerra for that report. Coming up, we are getting a fresh look at America's economy this morning. After the break, we'll dig into some new employment numbers and how it might all impact the Federal Reserve stance on interest rates in the coming months. That's next on Morning News Now. We are back with breaking economy news. The Labor Department has just released its jobs report for August, and we're getting an updated snapshot on the health of the economy. 142,000 jobs were added last month, actually less than the 161,000 economists had predicted. The unemployment rate did fall. It's now at 4.2%. So we're breaking it all down. For us, we are joined by NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung. He's over at the big board. And NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here on set as well. Good morning to both of you. Brian, I'll start with you at the board. Just give us the high level on these numbers.
Yeah, well, look, the current state of the labor market is that things are cooling. The pace of job gains in this country is indeed getting a little bit slower. We had expected about 161,000 jobs to be added in the month of August. Instead, what we got was 142,000. Again, that's not necessarily too far short. It's basically around there. But what was also interesting was you saw some downward revisions for previous months. This is standard practice. The government goes back in and says, all right, can we get a clearer picture on what the previous 2 months looked like? And they actually revised down July by 25,000 jobs and then June by 61,000 jobs. That means combined, we had 82,000 fewer jobs than we originally thought. So again, in tandem with the less than estimates gains in August with the revisions down on June and July, this jobs market is definitely slowing from the 200, even 300,000 pace of monthly job gains we were seeing earlier in the year, Savannah.
Been some big corrections also that we keep on seeing, which is kind of makes it confusing when we take this right away.
Yeah, if you look at that July number that was only 80-some thousand, a couple of things happening there that were temporary. A Hurricane Beryl, which slowed down job creation, and also really hot temperatures. So there were some parts of the economy that weren't adding jobs there. So that was sort of temporary. But I think, this report is as cool as Brian Chung. It is cooling down. The labor market is just not as hot as it once was. The question is, does it cool and then turn into something dangerous?
Right.
And because recessions typically begin with a big spike in the unemployment rate. So that's why I say this report is the most widely watched jobs report. And Brian, check me if you think I'm wrong, since the pandemic, really, because we're seeing of that year plus of highest rates. It killed inflation, but does it kill the job market too? That's why we're watching so closely.
It's such an important question. What about specific industries?
Yeah, that cool bit was very cool of you, by the way, Christine.
I think we need a sneaker shot just to prove it all.
I got the shoes on. Don't worry about it. But look, when we talk about the breakdown of industries in this report, pretty interesting to see at leisure and hospitality. Again, this has been the bars and restaurants jobs that has been driving a lot of the post-pandemic recovery. That was pretty strong. It added about 46,000 jobs in the month. But information, more white-collar jobs, These are jobs in tech. It actually contracted by 7,000 jobs in the month. So this is something we're going to have to watch. But when we look at healthcare and construction, that added about 31,000 jobs in a month, and construction also adding 34,000 jobs. So again, those types of blue-collar jobs still look like they're strong, which again could bode well going into the election. But again, were those white-collar jobs, especially in tech, we're going to have to watch those in the months to come.
Is a tech contraction like that surprising?
We need to really watch. Those tend to be higher paid jobs as well, so you want to really closely watch if that continues to worsen and what that says overall about the information economy. I would call this report on the whole healthy but cooling, and I think it feeds into the Fed's idea that it can start lowering interest rates, maybe 25 basis points. We'll have to see if the market thinks it could do more than that. But this isn't a disaster of a report. Right. 4.2% unemployment is decent. That spike we saw in July was concerning. We were worried that maybe that could happen again, and it didn't. So healthy job market, but cooling. It's not that gangbusters, robust job market of the last couple of years where anybody who wanted a job could go out and find a job. Now it's a little trickier than that.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but healthy but cooling kind of sounds like it could equal that soft landing that we're looking for?
Yes, unless this is just the beginning of the cooling and it gets worse later on this year. So that's why each of these reports, I think, into the end of the year, we'll be watching them so carefully to see if the Fed was managed to kill inflation without really damaging the job market.
And when do we get an interest rate update?
We're going to get it in just a couple of weeks. In September, we'll have it is September. We're in September, guys. Summer's over, and the Fed will be
not quite.
The Fed will be meeting. Right.
Christine and Brian, thank you both very much for joining us on this breaking news. Let's stay on money news now. The owner of 7-Eleven has rejected a buyout offer from a Canadian convenience store giant. CNBC's Savannah Hanau is here with that and more. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, so 7-Eleven's parent company is rejecting that nearly $39 billion takeover offer from the Canadian owner of the Circle K convenience store chain. Japan's 7&I says the bid significantly undervalues its business and also doesn't consider potential regulatory issues it would face, especially in the U.S. 7&I has 85,000 stores, primarily in the U.S. and Asia. It's been trimming its operations to focus on its more profitable convenience stores. Meanwhile, Panasonic is starting to sell TVs in the U.S. again. The Japanese company was once the world's biggest maker of plasma TVs. Panasonic now has 3 models with LED and OLED displays for sale through Amazon and Costco. It had ceased production in 2013 because of costs and a drop in demand. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch is coming for your bacon. The General Mills cereal brand is working with Hormel to make cinnamon-flavored bacon a reality. The limited edition item delivers a sugary crust with a delicious balance of cinnamon, sugar, salt, and savory bacon in every bite. That's according to the companies. Cinnadust seasoning is hand-rubbed onto Hormel's thick-cut bacon. The new collab will be available at Walmart stores starting September 16th. It sounds delicious.
Yeah, it really does. All right, Silvana, thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, now this is fun to Paris and the Paralympic Games, where American Oksana Masters has just won her 2nd Paralympic gold in 2 days. That ultimately gives her an amazing 19 medals, and it includes 9 golds across her Paralympic career. Team USA's Oksana Masters joins us now live to talk about her latest victory. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. Look at those 2 medals.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much. These are a shock.
Does it feel like a shock?
Yes, it feels like a shock. Like, that's all I'm responding to people is I'm shook. I cannot believe what just happened. This is real. I feel like I'm going to wake up from a very vivid dream any minute.
You're not. You can relax. This is real. And we're so excited for you. 19 medals now. I mentioned you continue to just establish yourself as one of Team USA's most decorated athletes, whether it's, by the way, rowing, cycling, cross country. Walk us through the different sports you play and how you transition between them.
Yeah, I did not at all set out to compete in all those 4 different sports. I thought rowing was the only sport that existed. Unfortunately, it was an injury that took me out. And honestly, I love that sport because it had better tan lines compared to cycling tan lines, but I won't get into that. But they're very, very different because rowing is just a 4-minute race. Skiing is complete pulling motions, but the races can go from 3 minutes to 45 minutes. And cycling is entirely different ball game. It's a pushing motion, and I have to rebuild my muscle groups and detrain and retrain different parts of my energy systems. And some of the races can be up to 3 hours long. And yesterday's road race was nearly 2 hours. So they're very different, but I love the challenge they all have.
Nearly 2 hours. Whenever I remember that there are sports at the Paralympics or Olympics that go on for multiple hours, I am just like reminded how different I am from you, how not capable I would be of doing something like that. But in this particular race, there was a period towards the end where you had a pretty good lead. Did you realize that? Did you notice that? Did it factor into how you spent the end of the race?
I had no idea the gap that I put on or where that gap, like, I made at all. The first lap, I put a tax on the only few short climbs. And I look back and I was really surprised by how fast I did put on the gap on them. And I knew that just stay smart, stay safe, because it was really tricky in wet conditions. And the roads are so slippery here with all the crosswalk paint, and just save it for that last climb and bury myself. And I had no idea. I was asking my team, like, what happened? Where were they? Because I thought they for sure were all fresh, ready to attack. And I know that they know that's one of my strengths. And that's always challenging when my cards are out on the table and they all know. But I'm just so happy that I was able to hold it up and over that hill.
Absolutely. You've talked a lot about your team, saying that they're who really encouraged you to believe that you even could do this. Never mind, hello, take home the gold. How much has your team meant to you?
Oh my gosh, I have an incredible village. There's an incredible team with US Paracycling. And then outside of my coach, Ralph, who's actually in Germany, and all of my training is actually done 100% by myself. But I have a village around me that I'm constantly leaning on and calling and questioning myself. And they're helping me remember my why and helping me make my bike be fit for my unique hands and my body to be the best athlete. And it's honestly like I doubt myself so much. And sometimes there's how much they believe in me terrifies me, because I want to live up to that and prove them right, that they are right to believe in me and I can do what they know I can. And I'm sometimes my hardest critic. And that's the hardest part sometimes, I think, for myself, which is also, I think, a strength of mine and why I'm able to push myself into those moments and just bury myself when the time really matters.
It's so amazing hearing you, an Olympian, like somebody who is wearing these medals around your neck, open up about feeling that way. I think it's just like, it's so relatable. And it's something that's been so neat to watch and learn from you, how open you are about a lot in your life, some really tough stuff, even in recent years, talking about your childhood in a Ukrainian orphanage. What's it been like to open up, and what do you hope people take away from you sharing those pieces of your life?
It's been really, really challenging, honestly, to open up, because there's still so many parts of my story I'm learning to love and process and find the strength and power within them. And I think when I started opening up more about not just Oksana as an athlete, but more of where I come from and what has helped me channel all the things the adversities I have faced through the orphanages and through the amputations and everything else, into a positive. It doesn't have to stay negative, and those moments are not your forever moments. And I think it's so important, especially in the media, they always highlight how that aha moment when the athlete has made it, and you read the accolades, but not a lot of times it's highlighted what got them there and the story behind them and where does it really come from. And for me, I'm still learning to appreciate my story. And there's some things that were challenging for sure, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think it's really important for all of us to honor not just the perfect moments of our stories and of our lives and our journeys. You have to honor and appreciate that adversity and those days that you never thought you'd make it through or seemed impossible. And because they're all part of that whole journey and the puzzle pieces that help me get here to this point with these 2 gold medals here in Paris. And we all, those hard moments in our lives that feel like they're not your forever moments. Those hard moments are not going to be your forever moments.
Oh, what an incredible message. Well, you also have somebody else, I think, who helps you through some of those tough moments. You're one half of a power couple, another Paralympian, wheelchair racer, your fiance. How's wedding planning going?
Oh, wedding planning is going slow because he's not telling me what he wants to do. He's not telling me the dates. He's not telling me when or where. And, you know, he waited 8 years and 3 months to ask too. So I know that this is his MO, not to put Aaron on the spot, but he does need the world to know that. Don't do this to your partners, people. But when it's exciting because we know that we are each other's forever. And so there really isn't, even though I joke about it, there isn't really a timeline that perfect time's going to happen. He makes it challenging because he's the only athlete on Team USA that does winter, summer, and a full marathon fall season of racing.
And just
so
insane.
I will put the blame on him. He's making it hard.
Well, congratulations to you and Aaron. We'll be watching and waiting, but patiently, no rush. And we hope to see you in Italy, right? Because you're also a Winter Olympian, which is just so incredible. Oksana Masters, thank you so much.
I'm so excited.
We're so excited to watch you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Coming up, if it's Friday, that can only mean one thing. Your can't miss list right around the corner. After the break, we're digging into what the critics and fans have to say about Beetlejuice, which hits theaters today. Grab your popcorn. That's coming up next. Welcome back. It is Friday, which means, of course, it's time for your weekly can't miss list. This is all movies, music, shows you can't miss this weekend. We've got a lot to get to. Let's bring in TV, radio, and podcasting hosts Will and Jobu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you joining us. Welcome to our can't miss list segment. Thank you. Beetlejuice. Let's start there. Highly anticipated.
Tim Burton, thank you for bringing this back after 36 years. And you know what? He's just an icon because not only has he brought Beetlejuice back as the sequel, Beetlejuice, but he's also brought back the cast, which is iconic as well.
So
Michael
amazing.
Keaton as Beetlejuice. Like, Michael Keaton still has that vim, still has that X factor. And you know what? I think it's special because, you know, the people who loved Beetlejuice before will feel quite nostalgic about it. But actually, the Gen Z kids are going to love it because they're like, actually, you know, it just feels so fresh, it feels so new, and it's just brilliant. It's already racked up $12 million in previews on Wednesday and Thursday, so it's obviously destined, you know, to be a blockbuster success. But I do want to say that growing up, I was scared of this, right?
I know.
So, I mean, even preparing for this segment, I was like, look, I don't want anyone saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Yeah. I can't say it 3 times. So, look.
Yeah, for the Gen Zs who might not know about that, you're going to learn why you can't say it 3 times and you can see it. Okay, also this spooky season, another one, The Front Row. What is this?
Oh, it's iconic.
The front room, I mean, right?
Yeah,
front room.
It's front room.
Front room,
so it's iconic because this is just such a relatable plot, right? This is about a young couple.
A horror movie that's relatable.
Yeah,
Good.
this is Brandy starring in it. It's a young couple. Brandy's pregnant, and the guy in the relationship, his stepmother moves in, and that is where the relationship and everything just goes all over the place. You never let the stepmom move in because then she starts to control everything. She starts to take over. And what I quite love about this plot is so many people have like clinged onto it on TikTok, and they've started making videos about where my stepmom moved in, where my stepmom did that, and it's like, guys, hold on. You can't go on TikTok dragging your stepmom because Brandy isn't going to save you, with all due respect. But again, it's just such a relatable plot. Like, it's interesting because things can really, you know, go left when the stepmom gets involved and moves in.
Okay, got to see it. Okay, also, Slow Horses, out with a new season. I have not watched this. I've been thinking about starting from the beginning and binging. Should I?
You should. Okay. Gary Oldman starring in it. It's a spy thriller. MI5 vibes, you know, think action, murder, drama, London. It's very, very British. But you know what, I love this because, I love this because, so I walked past the MI5 building in London, and from the outside it looks all grey, there's lots of barbed wire, but you look at it, you're like, there's so much tea going on in there. So, like, it's crazy. And like, I've heard they have, like, underground bits and everything, but this, obviously, is just about the MI5 lifestyle, really, and it's iconic. So, look, go out there and watch that. It's brilliant.
They have your picture up on the wall in there.
See, that's what I feel like I've said too much now.
What's going on in there? Okay, English teacher. This is a comedy, right? A funny one?
Yes, a really, really funny one, of course. Brian Jordan Alvarez, he plays like a high school teacher in Texas who finds himself trying to meet the conflicting needs of teachers and students, and some like political debates get involved. And it's just really, really funny. And do you know what? It's just feel-good television,
Right, it's
really.
just like fun to just watch a straight-up comedy, right? That's great.
And
on Peacock, of course, our sister network, we have this. I'm amazed by this one because it's actually a true story. Fight Night, true story, but with a ridiculous cast.
Yeah, we're talking Kevin Hart, we're talking Samuel L. Jackson, we're talking Chloe Billy. Like, it is a star-studded list. And of course, this is telling the stories of, you know, Muhammad Ali's comeback, boxing coming in the 1970s, where there was like a celebration after party, and in the after party, you know, a number of people got robbed, and it was a really, really serious criminal operation.
And when you watch it, it's entertaining, but you also learn something, which is
You learn
awesome.
a lot, which is fabulous.
Will and Joe, it was so much fun to have you here. Welcome to New York. Thanks for coming to visit us.
I love New York.
Across
It's
the pond.
fabulous.
And I love London. Great to have you here. By the way, if you want something to listen to, Linkin Park, new album coming soon. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.